joining me. I know it's kind of late. I do a radio show every week, and I was putting this together and had quite a bit of information, and none of it is really in my area of expertise. So I thought it'd be a lot more fun to do together. So thank you all for joining me. And so as you can tell from the title, we're going to talk about AI, precision everything, basically. There's the precision agriculture, there's precision medicine, there's precision education, obviously precision finance, and then this all ties to this whole tokenized, gamified society that they want to create. At least that's what it looks like to me. So I thought we would dive into that and talk about what is social impact finance, because I think that's really where this is all headed, and they want to use tokens as a way to get us there. And part of that vehicle is going to be this precision AI everything. So this is part of the cybernetic feedback loops that they're creating. So the bubble, that was hilarious. So this is like Ponzi schemes upon Ponzi schemes here. Let's just go over what is social impact finance, and just the really 30,000 foot definition is social impact finance refers to the investment strategies that generate measurable social and environmental benefits alongside financial returns. It includes impact investing, social bonds, outcome-based funding models like social impact bonds, which the acronym is SIBs, and development impact bonds, DIBs. These financial mechanisms aim to solve societal challenges by directing capital towards projects that improve education, healthcare, economic inclusion, and of course, sustainability. So maybe we'll start by just playing a little video on this. It's pretty short.
Imagine a world where every investment you make not only grows your wealth, but also creates a positive impact on society. This is not a distant dream, but a reality unfolding thanks to blockchain technology. Blockchain, the revolutionary technology behind cryptocurrencies, is now transforming social impact investing. It is creating a decentralized platform that connects investors directly with social enterprises and projects meeting environmental, social, and governance criteria. This means greater transparency, increased efficiency, and, most importantly, the democratization of investment opportunities. Investors now can contribute to projects they truly believe in, and not just those that promise substantial returns. They have the power to influence and foster social good, directly from their digital wallets. This innovative blend of technology and finance is creating a new paradigm of conscious investing, where every dollar invested can be traced to its social impact. Blockchain technology is not just revolutionizing the financial world, it's reshaping the way we invest for social impact. So, why is blockchain technology such a game changer for social impact investing? Let's take a closer look. One of the main reasons is transparency. Blockchain's immutable ledger allows for a transparent tracking of transactions. This means that investors can see exactly where their money is going and how it's being used, reducing the risk of fraud and corruption. Next, we have traceability. Blockchain's decentralized nature allows for the tracing of investments from origin to outcome. This unique feature helps ensure that funds are actually going towards their intended projects, enabling more effective impact measurement. Finally, blockchain brings democratization to the table. By eliminating intermediaries, blockchain lowers transaction costs, making it easier for anyone to participate in social impact investing. This has the potential to vastly increase the pool of investors and the amount of capital available for socially responsible projects. With blockchain, we're witnessing a seismic shift in social impact investing, one that promises to make every investment count towards a better world. As we delve into the world of blockchain-based social impact investing, it's clear that we're standing at the precipice of a major shift in how we approach investing. Blockchain, a technology once synonymous with cryptocurrencies, is now paving the way for a new era of social impact investing. Its decentralized nature, transparency, and security offer a new level of trust and accountability, connecting investors directly with social enterprises aligned with environmental, social, and governance criteria. This technology is not only redefining the investment landscape, but also creating opportunities for social enterprises to access funding and for investors to track the impact of their investments in real time. It's a game changer, a shift towards a more inclusive and sustainable economic model. As we move forward, the question isn't whether blockchain will transform social impact investing, but how we will harness this technology to create a better, more inclusive world. And that, my friends, is a future worth investing in.
That ends with the Industry 4.0. So, of course, that's a reference to the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Although some of you may remember I did a show on the Fourth Industrial Revolution and talking about how a lot of these so-called experts say we're already in the Fifth Industrial Revolution, and they've actually laid out the Sixth and Seventh Industrial Revolutions already. But certainly this is really all about the Fourth Industrial Revolution, this interaction with man and machine, and creating a world where we're kind of enmeshed with one another. But this is really just paving the way for, the merger that is the Fifth Industrial Revolution. But of course, it's couched in all these great words, these words that sound wonderful. It's decentralized. When they talk about the Fourth Industrial and the Fifth Industrial Revolution, they keep saying it's human-centered, agent-centered. Of course, agent is really referring to your digital agent, which is your digital twin that, kind of acts as your little voodoo doll in precision AI medicine, where they can use that to, manipulate you essentially. But there's a lot in that. But the one is, I wanted to play that video because some of the key things they really drive are blockchain, right? This is all about being on the blockchain. They talk about how it's all decentralized, which, if it's on the blockchain, and even when they say peer-to-peer, that's that middle layer of programming. So it's really not all that decentralized. It's right smack in the middle. And if everything's interoperable, there's no way that it could be, you may have pockets of decentralization, but there has to be some way of connecting all of it. So I think it's really kind of decentralized in the H.G. Wells sense of decentralization. I keep referencing this. He had a book called The World Brain, and he said that the conduit to the world brain was going to be decentralization. And of course, at the time, he was really referring to decentralization of information. He was talking about universities and education institutions, and the decentralization of that would lead to this world brain. But I think that that's really kind of what they're building with technology, is this decentralization of technology to lead towards a singularity or a noosphere or this collective intelligence. So I'll play another video that talks about that. So they talk about the collective intelligence in reference to this blockchain tokenization.
Blockchain as a whole, it's one of the first technologies that's going to connect us. As a follow-up to the internet, we had the infrastructure to connect. Now we need to have the logic, we need to have the mapping of how we're all related and how we're all valuable to each other. I think for the first time as humanity, we can start really acting like a collective intelligence. The main thing to grasp about the blockchain is that all of the previous technologies, like the printing press and the radio and internet, are basically replacements of the previous infrastructure to communicate on a large scale all around the world. And if you compare it to a body, it's mostly the infrastructure that gets updated every couple of decades. So it's like the blood vessels and the nervous system. But the brain and the logic, that's always something that we as humanity kept private within organizations or within individuals. And it's not something that we really shared as humanity. And I think now blockchain, if you compare it to the human body, is the first time that we get a collective brain, a collective logic and a collective memory of everything that happened. And if we have a collective brain and collective logic and we can start putting that to use, we can do even greater things than we're doing right now. The cool thing about the blockchain is that every one of us with just a couple lines of code can put something out there to benefit all of us. And I think in the future, if we start seeing the power of all of us just sending something out there and it can impact us even after our lives, it's going to do a lot of good in the world.
So I want to play that because that kind of contrasts the first one where they keep saying how it's all so decentralized. And here they're saying that the blockchain is what is going to create this collective intelligence, which sounds to me like a world brain, right? So let's go through some of the AI precision sectors. So we've got education, where we have all this tech ed, right? These AI adaptive learning, that personalized education, It's all couched in the terms of personalization. This is all like specifically targeting, but really what it is cybernetic feedback loops that are data mining and then programming as a result of that data mining. But they say helping underserved students, of course, succeed. Investors use AI to track learning outcomes and optimize funding for programs with proven effectiveness. Finance, this is microfinance, credit scoring, allowing capital to reach, again, the underserved populations. That's how they frame all of this. AI-driven ESG. We heard ESG in the first blockchain video, right? They were talking about how you could track all of and that's the other thing, right? They keep saying that this is all about autonomy and decentralization, and they give you the illusion that you're going to have digital sovereignty and freedom, but yet they are also tracking and surveilling everything. So if they can create metrics and heuristics and they can track it, then they can also control you. So it's a little bit oxymoronic, but of course that's how they phrase it. So ESG analysis that helps investors to allocate funds more effectively for impact-driven projects. Medicine. The AI precision diagnostics and treatment plans. So they say this will reduce healthcare disparities. And of course, this is what Project Stargate is really targeting. They're going to do predictive measures for life, potentially terminally ill diseases like the big C word. All right, so AI helps social impact investors measure health outcomes and direct funding towards high impact invention and interventions. So now we are getting to where we are commodifying health, of course, not that we're not already there, but this is kind of an acceleration of that. Agriculture, AI-powered precision farming optimizes resource use using improving shields for smallholder farmers, and social impact finance funds for AI-driven agri-tech solutions to boost food security and sustainability. And I talked quite a bit about this. I did, when I was talking about the NACs, the natural asset companies, and then, of course, the climate smart commodity projects, which are all tied into this. This is all part of that, 30 by 30 agenda. That's the stepping stone to the half Earth agenda. But the 30 by 30 was renamed America the Beautiful by the Biden administration. So by integrating AI precision with social impact finance, stakeholders can make data-driven investments that maximize social and financial returns. So this is all about cybernetics, right? They are data mining in order to figure out where they can target. So tokenized and gamified economy built on AI-driven social impact finance could revolutionize how value is created, right? They can determine now what is valuable and use this as a feedback loop to incentivize certain things that they deem valuable, like ESG. Exchange and measured across sectors like education, finance, medicine, and agriculture. So here's some examples. Tokenized digitizing social and economic impact. So tokenization involved representing assets, services, or contributions on a blockchain. So it's allowing for, they keep talking about transparency, and I don't know how they reconcile transparent and yet it's so secure. It's somehow very transparent and it's very secure and private. But they also talk about fractional ownership or exchange. And this is just mind-boggling to me. I know, families are supposed to, be able to share things and have each other's best interests at heart. And yet we have estate lawyers. And the reason for that is that families typically don't. So if families have trouble with shared assets, how is it that complete strangers are going to manage this? You're going to have part ownership of a piece of land, of a piece of art, or I don't know. That obviously the possibilities are endless, but I'm just not sure how this is going to be, work out in practical application. In a social impact finance context, tokenization could reward positive actions. So, students could earn tokens for completing AI-driven coursework. Isn't that what we want for our children? We could incentivize sustainable behaviors for farmers. So they could receive tokens again for participating in AI precision powered agriculture. So essentially, if they participate in these things that measure their greenhouse gas emissions, so let's say, if they measure the cow farts, and they might receive some tokens, although they might get demerits as also, because of course that's then now reducing greenhouse. Yeah, that's increasing greenhouse gas emissions. Sorry, it's all just so ludicrous. But we already have this. I think this is the thing that's kind of, people think of this as seeming so far fetched and like a dystopian sci-fi novel. But we have this with we have apps like StepBed. I've actually done it. It's like they track your steps, and then you're in a community, right? And you compete, and you can invite your friends, and then you get prizes for who took the most steps, who met their goal. I think they even have ones. I'm not sure if StepBed's the one, but they even have ones that you earn money like based on your steps. I don't know who's paying, but I think like various businesses will enter, and it works as like advertising for them, but then people are making money and they're building these communities, and it's a gamified economy, right? So and that's still dealing in cash, it's still dollars or whatever currency. But I think that that's really like an operational preparation of the environment to gear us towards a gamified tokenized economy. And these tokens would really be it's not based on a currency. It's not dollars. Dollar may be a fiat currency, but it is still something tangible. Where these tokens, I think this is really hedging towards something that is more of a universal basic income, where people get a certain amount of tokens, and then they're rewarded for points in the game, and they're penalized when they do not reach when they're not good doobies and they don't meet their social credit incentives. So what do we have that? And this is all related to, there's the white paper on the Internet of Behaviors, right? This was, I think, 2023. And there is a whole book on this, the Internet of Behaviors. I don't know why that's not, yeah, there it is. Okay. The IOB. It's not coming up for me, so I will not be able to scroll through that, but you can look it up, and this is the whole, how they're going to you do the cybernetic feedback loops to program your behaviors through, psychological conditioning. And of course, in incentivization, in a tokenized economy, you could create the incentive through the tokens and the gaming. So then we have enable micro investments. So this is again the fractional ownership of impact-driven projects. So now you could like own parts of these impact-driven projects. So like an agri-tech kind of a project, or some sort of a green think tank. I don't know. Create digital social impact bonds where investors are repaid based on real-time AI measured outcomes. Then we have the gamification will drive the engagement through the incentives. So that's kind of just what it sounds like. It's a game, so people will be incentivized to earn points. In this case, it's tokens, which are like earning money, right? So this applies game mechanics, so points, boards, challenges, but it's now putting it into non-game context. So this is kind of like in the very innocuous sense is the StepBed, right? Or one of those apps that are incentivizing people to walk and challenge each other to get more steps. This is not, there's nothing really inherently problematic about that, but I think it's conditioning people for this type of gamified world where it's they can extrapolate that to something else. And really, I think they want it to be everything, life. And also, this is also how the economy is then going to work. So yeah, there's and then the mining of crypto. And that gets really kind of dystopian because they can actually use 6G to mine crypto through the human body. And that's just, I think that's a show for another day. But the technology exists. They've definitely done it. And that is just beyond creepy to me. Okay, so what is gamification? It is a strategic application of game design principles, mechanics, and elements into a non-game environment to solve problems, increase engagement, and motivate the individuals towards their goals. And there's just like a quick search, and you'll find all sorts of white papers on gamification in education. And of course, this sounds on the surface like a great idea. Let's make learning fun. Um, Except that they're using all of this tech ed. And the tech ed is data mining from the children and then also programming the children. And that's very concerning to me. I have no problems with children learning through games. I think that, since the beginning of time, that's kind of how children do learn. They play, they explore, and a lot of it's not super structured play, and they learn very well that way. But when this starts to be gamified with very specific agendas, and also when it starts to become part of a blockchain database, so they're using this information, and that information is now tracking the child throughout their life, and who knows what the ramifications of that are in a fully realized tokenized society where maybe as a child they have something now on their record that later impedes them from entering a certain job or purchasing certain things, or we can take all sorts of guesses at what the ramifications might be, but that's very concerning to me. So it's not the gamification itself. It's not that I'm opposed to children having fun while they're learning and playing. That's not the problem, but it's this idea of tracking them and data mining them. So boosts financial inclusion by giving users credit score, boosting tokens for responsible financial behavior. So who's deeming the responsible, quote unquote, behavior? Who's determining what metrics are used for this credit score? Is it based on ESG? Is it based on what they determine is responsible social behavior? What has a good social impact? And they, right? Who are they who are determining this? And who are they that are programming this? Because most of this is going to be done through smart contracts, right? So once it's programmed, it's not like you have a say in changing that. So promote health outcomes by rewarding preventative care participation. And we can see how that would play out. And again, like I said, the example of like the walking apps, that's kind of innocuous, but when it starts to be something much more serious involving, taking specific medicine or experimental medications or interventions, then that's a different story. So drive sustainable farming practices by offering incentives for AI optimized resource use, AI-powered smart contracts, and decision-making. So AI, they claim, will ensure real-time tracking of social and financial impact using smart contracts to automate token distribution based on predefined success metrics. So and a couple of examples might be like if a student completes an AI recommended course with top performance, then they earn learning tokens, and that might be exchangeable for a scholarship or a specific career opportunity or maybe an internship. this is all just cybernetics on steroids, really, right? And this is the last week I did a show on the socio-technical systems, right? This builds on cybernetics, and if you've been following along, I keep showing how the Association of Cybernetics is actually ramping up their new Macy's conferences again. And so I think it's because they recognize that these emerging technologies are really going to be all predicated on the advancements of what we've already known about cybernetic theory in conjunction with things like systems theories and complexity theory. And then, of course, the synthetic biology, syntech and biotech and all of that. Okay, so then we have learning tokens, right? A farmer may meet a precision agriculture sustainability goal. They receive eco tokens redeemable for a micro loan or better market access. All right, so now they're just incentivizing. This is like the climate smart commodity projects that we've talked about before. They're incentivizing farmers under things that sound great, like regenerative farming sounds great, except that the goal is to make everything synthetic. So it's really not about regenerative in the sense of truly organic, permaculture, that sort of thing. It's really in the sense of making everything synthetic. You know, the lab grown meat, the fake plants. Now they're talking about spinach that can email. And this is real. MIT has released their studies on this, and the spinach has like a MAC address. Yeah, no, thank you. That's I'm not interested. I do not want to eat anything that can email me. So, nor do I want to grow anything that can email me. So, a healthcare provider improves patient outcomes using AI-driven diagnostics. They get health token that might be tradable for funding. All right, so then emerging tokenized ecosystem possibilities. EdFi, so education finance tokens. They love their acronyms. Gamified learning experiences with tokenized rewards for skilled mastery. Health coin, AI verified impact rewards exchangeable for insurance discounts or wellness products. And these are just like, hypotheticals, although I'm pretty sure they have all of these in some form. Agri token, blockchain-backed tokens for farmers involving crop yield with AI precision. And then Impact DAO. These are decentralized autonomous organizations for impact. So community-driven funding pools where AI measures and distribution, and they distribute social impact investments. All right, so we'll talk a little bit more about social impact finance before we go on to the others. Oh, yeah, spinach that can email. Literally, it's MIT. I don't have the story to pull up, but I did tweet it. It's on my Twitter. But it's an MIT study that they're doing working on spinach that can email. Yeah. I'm not interested. All right, so you invest directly in or generally through a fund that in activities that have a strong social or environmental impact. This is what social impact is. Oh, here it is. Yeah, scientists have taught spinach to send email, and it could warn us about climate change. Oh, goody. I want my spinach to tell me about climate change. I'm usually pretty aware when the climate changes. Sometimes in the morning it's colder, and then it's a little bit warmer during the day. But yeah, no kidding aside, I am not interested in these sort of things from my spinach. So they have so social impact investing is investing indirectly or directly, usually in a fund that in the activities that have a strong social or environmental impact. And you could open a social savings account. Banks have these. And in that case, then you would share part of your interest payment with usually an NGO or some sort of an association. And it's all about redirecting the capital to solve various problems. So things like climate change might be, climate change or, it used to be global warming, whatever label I guess they give it today, like inequality or environmental collapse. That's another one. And so there's this, it's called Crypto Altruism. I had found this site, cryptoaltruism.org, and you can look it up. They talk about emergence. So all of these technologies are in the category of what they call emerging technologies. And for those of you who've been following for a while, I had done a pretty deep dive on something called Gamified, which they call a new social operating system for civilization. And I, there's kind of a schism in there. They keep saying that they're not in favor of any kind of centralization of technology, and a lot of them are really advocating that we're already in some sort of a collective kind of consciousness. They call it collective intelligence, and coming much more from a sociological perspective. However, most of them are very tech savvy. And especially Jim Rutt, he's been involved in all sorts of technologies. There's one, and I'm totally just blanking on what it was called, but it was called Big Chain DB, and so this is very much tied to blockchain technology. So and of course, network solutions. And then, of course, Jordan Hall is also really involved in technology. So they're not, they've really championed, I was going to say they're not Luddites. They really do champion a lot of this like holochain stuff. Jordan Hall has said he hasn't used that term specifically. And I don't know if he was on the ground floor, but it sounds like from some of the quote unquote dialogues, they're a big fan of dialogue, that they've had, that the terms he uses sound very much aligned with these holochains. And so holochains, NoMap, I've done a show on NoMap, and that also seems to be tied in with this whole community. And they say it's literally based on Teilhard de Chardin's vision of a noosphere. They've now since renamed it to S7, more modeled after Barbara Marx Hubbard and her 7S's, the synergy, syntony, synchronicity, and all of those. But it does seem like that is where they're very aware of this technology. They're very much in favor of social impact finance, tokenization. And so that's what put me into researching some of this stuff that was not really, it was in my periphery, but it wasn't like at my forefront to dive into. But when I was seeing how this is starting to merge together with these, more sociological, religious kind of underpinnings, and then the technological side of it, they're creating a synthesis that will lead to some sort of centralization, that a collective intelligence, as they call it, a noosphere, singularity. And the thing is that the worldview and the philosophy, all of that helps to usher people in much with acquiescence, right? So I think that they work hand in hand, even when they claim to be at odds with each other. I never know whether it's a genuine opposition or if it's Hegelian intentionally to create dialectical poles to usher us into the synthesis. But either way, the technology has the power to create this type of infrastructure that could be a tyranny like nothing we've ever seen or could possibly even imagine. So it is really important, I think, that we be aware of what these ideas are and what the technologies are that could implement them. So this crypto altruism, I got off on a tangent there, I apologize. Emergence conducts innovative research in the social impact space, exploring the interconnectedness between blockchain and social good. They have experience with the United Nations, United States Agency for International Development, Millennium Challenge Corporation, United States Department of Agriculture, World Bank, and numerous private foundations, firms, and NGOs. And of course, right under it says Tokenizing Social Impact. This is Michael Cooper, Emergence. And then it says the use of tokens for social impact is growing in complexity without sufficient evidence-driven guides to inform use. Tokens are already being used for simple functions like vouchers for goods and services within humanitarian interventions to provide individuals with more equitable identification for access to things like decentralized finance. Again, That's the buzzword that I think is very misleading. These functions are simple in that they are not dependent on the token for more complex behavior change to achieve the desired social outcome. However, so it's all about social engineering, right? That's really what their goal is. And isn't that the definition of technocracy? Technocracy Inc. It was a Technocrat magazine, I believe it was 1937, that they defined technocracy as social engineering. And I have the full link to that on my Twitter as well. You have to way back it. It's not available on the regular web. But to provide the individual with more equitable, social outcomes, However, as tokens are used in more complex ways, requiring greater levels, types of behavior change, complexity theory, right? And complexity systems to achieve social impact at scale, the token utility framework will be required that correlates token design with behavioral outcomes as part of the larger social impact interventions seeking a desired social impact. So they're steering, right? They're steering their social engineering. The token utility framework will require common understanding and terminology, what tokens are, how they can facilitate specific types of outcomes, and what outcomes specific token designs are optimal for, and how to design interventions that make the optimal use of a token. So yes, I will not read the rest of it, but you can check all of that out. They say that this series will focus on real life cases, emerging evidence to demonstrate the value add of tokens in answering the 3 questions. To this emergence, partnered with colleagues in Fishcoin, Notre Dame, Cardiff University, service providers like DAI, and experts from the Vienna Research Institute for Crypto Economics. So, and with where we are headed with, I know Trump did do his ban on CBDCs, but it looks like he is really supporting the crypto arena, and I don't know where that'll go. I don't know if that's going to be some of the stable coins or if it's going to be putting Bitcoin on reserve, but it does look like we're headed towards that, which as we move on, we're going to see where that can get really concerning, because we could be seeing just the dissolution of geographical nation states in favor of some sort of a network state. So Emergence conducts innovative research in social impact space, exploring the interconnectedness between blockchain and the social good. So let's see, the token, I have this one also. This is token.com, and it's an app, and they say understanding the social impact of tokenization. And this is funny. They say the token, they have it's token. They have the $sign right in front of it. You've likely heard the term tokens thrown around and discussions about cryptocurrency, but what does it truly mean for you and the digital economy? Well, tokens are the building blocks of cryptocurrency world. These are digital assets that represent a specific unity or asset which can be traded, spent, or invested. Unlike traditional currency, these tokens operate on a blockchain, a decentralized ledger that records all transactions across a network of computers. So imagine you're at an arcade. Again, this is the gamified analogy, right? So they're creating this gaming world scenario. Imagine you're at an arcade, you exchange your cash for tokens, in which then you can use to play games. In cryptocurrency universe, it's a similar concept. But instead of playing games, you are accessing services, executing smart contracts, or representing ownership of something such as real estate or artwork. Each token is a piece of a larger, complex digital ecosystem where it can fluctuate based on supply, demand, and perceived value of that asset or service it represents. How tokenization influences crypto investment? When you dive into the world of tokens, you're not just buying into digital currencies, you're investing in the potential for innovation and growth. Tokenization has redefined the concept of investment by breaking down barriers to entry and offering a more inclusive financial landscape. It has democratized access to investment opportunities that were once the preserve of the wealthy or well-connected. I think that there's still going to be that because it's likely leading towards a UBI kind of a system. By tokenizing assets, business can split them into smaller, more affordable units, making it easier for you to invest in high-value assets like real estate, art, or even startup. This is fractional ownership. So they claim that it's going to make investment not only more accessible, but also more liquid. These tokens can be bought and sold on crypto exchanges easily. I don't know about you, but I haven't found it to be that easy, but that's what they claim. This liquidity means that your investments are not locked up for long periods, giving you greater control over your financial destiny. Well, I don't know. I have seen many cases of crypto actually being quite difficult and very time consuming to transfer back and forth. But yeah, so then they go on, they talk about social tokens that could empower communities to drive change from within, fostering a new kind of participatory philanthropy. And we again have to ask who is determining what is the philanthropic mission and who is programming it. So, yes, it does sound like Steiner. Okay, so this is, and then what else do we have here on that? Social impact of the fair outlines what impact finance is also, but I think I can get that to open. I think we have a pretty solid understanding of what it is, but FAIR is the finance accompaniment. I never know what it stands for. But they talk about how you can invest directly or indirectly through a fund in activities that have strong social environments, and opening up an account. And then they just go through the different applications. So if you want to learn more about social impact finance, definitely you can go check that out. And then I think we've covered the tokenization. So some of this, sorry, my notes might be a little bit redundant here. This is the process of converting real-world assets like solar farm or affordable housing projects into digital tokens on a blockchain. Social impact investing tokenization allows fractal ownership, meaning you don't need to be a millionaire to invest in, say, clean energy project. A $10 million wind farm could be split into millions of tokens, each representing a tiny stake, so everyday people can buy it and into it. Again, I have no idea how that is going to work out. Yeah, so I was just thinking this. So the Rockfin situation, when I was saying how I found it very difficult, actually, I don't have a whole lot of experience in this arena with cryptocurrencies, but I do have a channel on Rockfin, and I found that it's very difficult to transfer the money and to transfer it and into between the different types of currencies. I'm also they're also now I guess they changed over to the type of crypto, and now they're not giving people their money. A lot of people I haven't been able to get the money that I had in there, and I've heard that from a lot of people actually. So something very interesting going on there. They said they're going in a different direction. I don't know the story, but there's definitely lots of questions. So again, we'll save that for another day. So there's the Impact Token Project. So this is impacttokens.com. It's Impact Token Project. They claim it's the holy grail of impact investing and philanthropy. They say it's the way things ought to be. At its core value, it's not divided, but rather is whole blend of economic, social, and financial components, which taken together give us returns we seek in our investing, in our philanthropy, and in our lives. And they have a white paper that you can request on this. Yes, so the gamification, the blockchain, we've been through that. So AI, precision, economy. So there are various different examples, like Recycle Bank was one of the early ones to use this precision AI tokenized gaming society. They use AI to track the recycling habits, and they would reward users with points and redeemable stores. So apparently there were like 300 in the US. And you can find this at recyclebank.com. There's, of course, China's social credit system. I think most people are pretty familiar with that. That's powered by AI surveillance, of course, biometric data, right? They scan your facial recognition, and I think they also scan retina. And they have social credit scores that are based on your behavior that influence your travel, your job access. And by 2024, it was monitoring 1.4 billion people, according to BBC on social credit. And then there's the blockchain platforms like Impact Market, and they distribute tokens for what they consider to be social good. Donors that fund poverty relief verified by AI, so they're tracking through AI with recipients gaining financial access. And this is at Impact Market. Then they have the gamification with leaderboards, top contributors. They might give you badges for your various milestones. And this is all, of course, tracked by AI. And they have social impact financial skills such as green bonds, which are analyzed by AI for the efficiency. They've raised $500 billion in 2024 for climate projects. And this is the Climate Bonds Initiative. This is part of that whole climate smart commodity project, which the USDA put in $3.1 billion investment. And so my concern is that, I keep bringing up Trump did do in his executive order banning central bank digital currencies, and I am very supportive of that. I think that's great. I do not want central bank digital currency. However, I'm very concerned about things like communitarianism. I'm concerned about network states, tokenized economies that are based on biometrics and social credit, communitarianism. And I think people are a little bit misled into thinking that that is not going to be tyrannical. But I think what we're starting to see, and why I think this is so relevant, is even here in the United States, where a lot of people think we're moving into, we're getting all our freedoms and this is national sovereignty. I do see a shift towards this government corp. And I don't know whether or not, Trump is fully aware or he's not aware, but I know the people surrounding him have been groomed to do this. This is, the Peter Thiel, who's not officially in the administration, but most of his acolytes and many of his proteges. I mean, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, is a direct protege of Peter Thiel. This is on the screen. We have Come Build the City of Life. This is Prospera. These, which are really these, what do they call them? The EDEs. They're, ZEDE is Zones for Economic. I'm blanking on the rest of it. Sorry, I'm having all these blanks tonight. But it's essentially what the freedom cities are also. And I'm going to look it up because ZEDE zones, it's zones for employment and economic development. They're special economic zones that grant administrators sufficient autonomy, allowing them to establish their own laws, taxation systems, and even private security with the aim of attracting investment. So this is what Peter Thiel's Prospera is, right? It's Bitcoin cities. And that's the same thing as what Trump's freedom cities are, unfortunately. It's just very cleverly marketed as freedom, right? Freedom. So, of course, people who are in the, more libertarian minded or the Republicans, conservatives, they think of themselves as, or, outside of politics altogether, but they're, championing freedom. They hear freedom cities and this sounds wonderful, but that's really what it's geared towards. So this is moving towards network states and communitarianism. So that's what I feel like we're seeing. And we see in the administration a lot of the Peter Thiel proteges and acolytes. And I do think that whether or not he is directly aware, he's very much been groomed for this role, right? And Peter Thiel is a neo-reactionary. He's a proponent of this dark enlightenment movement. He is I would call him a disciple of Curtis Yarvin, or at least aligned with Yarvin, who believed the cathedral should rule, which is very much aligned with this notion of technocracy, which, of course, Elon Musk was groomed to be a technocrat. His grandfather, Hadelman, was a leader of the Technocracy Inc., in Canada in 1936 to 1943. And this is this idea of rule by a scientific dictatorship. And there's also this movement called Rage, which is essentially it's this whole theory, and that's part of this neo-reactionary movement. And that is what we're seeing right now, right? We're seeing the dismantling of all of these governmental departments, and we're seeing that, but that's really being set up to be replaced by AI. And that's not speculation. That's what Elon has said, right? That's what he's talking about. So it's not that I don't think we shouldn't have a diminishing of these bloated government apparatus. I do. I absolutely support getting rid of a lot of these departments. But unfortunately, a lot of them are not really being dismantled. A lot of them are being redirected. And if they're not being redirected, they are being replaced with AI. And that I'm not so much in favor of. So, yeah. Well, loss of civil servants means AI governance. So we don't know that for sure, but what we do know is that that's what the AI World Society stipulates, is that we will see, complete subsuming of all human government to be replaced by AI. And we certainly have heard Elon, mention very similar rhetoric. So it does seem like that's the direction that they're going in. So what is communitarianism? It emphasizes collective well-being over the individual, right? So this is about influencing financial systems where it's for the greater good, but it's the good of the community. So it sounds really nice, like, it's your community, whatever community you've built, and but it's for the good of that community, but it's for the prioritizing that over the individual. And they're doing this through tokenized economies. It's going to be there's some sort of social credit metrics, probably some sort of biometrics involved in that when you start employing these emerging technologies. But right now they're conditioning people with these communitarian environments, and I think people have this notion that it's going to be much more utopian than what the practice will actually be. I think this is a way of getting people to opt in, because a lot of people, at least here in the United States, are more likely to reject something like a central bank digital currency. But in these communitarian environments, you're still going to need digital, IDs to enter. You're still going to have, tokenized economies. You're going to be on a digital currency. You might be on some sort of like a UBI or ration type of currency exchange, gamified, where you get rewarded for certain behavior, demerits for others. So, and that's in a community, or a network state. So it's not necessarily going to be quite as free as a lot of people have this illusion that it will be. So, all right. So what is the network state? This is, I skipped over an example would be like the credit unions, like Navy Federal Union, where they use member profits to lower the loan rates, and they serve 12 million people in 2025. It was 12 million with a communitarian ethos. So this is, this for the Navy is a very specific federal entity. Covering the world and community. But we'll get to that. That's the cabin decentralized autonomous zones. But I wanted to explain network state. I've covered that quite a bit. I've done a show specifically on the network state. This is Balaji Srinivasan's book that he wrote. and it's being championed by Peter Thiel. He has a whole chapter in his book on seasteading, which is a concept that Peter Thiel was helming. He put $1.7 million, last time I read, into this concept of seasteading, but it was not all that successful. And so he's now supporting this network state, which is the idea of a dissolution of geographical nation states in favor of these cyber networked states that might be ideological or various communities, but it is done through. And he proposes, this is Srinivasan, he proposes that digital nations using blockchain tokens for governance and economics. And so this is a prototype, the Cabin DAO, decentralized or organized. Decentralized autonomous organization. They issued biometric linked tokens to residents, rewarding eco-friendly actions with social credit. And I'll see if I can find that link and open it. Yeah, so they have this Cabin DAO, and the category is social real estate. There's opportunities for grants. They put the dollar sign in front of Cabin, and they say the about section says Cabin DAO is creating a community of cabins for Web3 workers. So this is Web3. Right now, what we're experiencing is Web2. So if you are watching this live stream, you will see on the screen there is the things that we're pulling up from the internet. This is still Web2, but Web3 is building on the blockchain, and they're not talking about holochains, but that's actually like another step on top, another layer on top. Game B is very supportive of these holochains, and they make it sound like it's all peer-to-peer, which is a buzzword, for the technology, peer-to-peer, and it sounds like, I'm just dealing. It sounds like voluntarism, right? Except that the technology is all interoperable, and they're using what they call decentralized apps, but again, they're all interoperable. So Web3 workers, the DAO decides who gets to come live in the cabin, right? So even though it's decentralized, this is still, there's still authority. And it currently grants cohorts of 1-month residences to independent online creators via open online application processes, tokenized voting. And the goals are to whatever the DAO decides that they are. That said, when the DAO was formed, it's a decentralized autonomous organization, that's what it stands for, was formed, here are the things they want to accomplish. Create the conditions for serendipitous in-person collaboration across diverse internet community, experiment with sustainable models for funding the living expenses of independent online creators, and explore the idea of explore the maze of decentralized governance for physical locations. So now we're going to have these network states governing physical localities. I feel, and I think some of the people who are doing all of this, it's very, they really are utopianists, and they really do think that this is all going to be, complete voluntarist type of society. However, I don't know what's going to happen with people who are not aligned, and we're seeing that this is all following a very specific telos, and it's a telos that's aligned with the UN, the Club of Rome. They do have they have an X page, Twitter. It's a global community of community builders, neighborhood accelerator program. And I'm not sure if that's a nod to accelerationism, which is, I've outlined, I think in the last few shows, left-right accelerationism, which is this philosophy of techno-optimism, trying to advance technology and essentially move us into the fifth industrial revolution as fast as possible. Co-living, co-housing, and co-creating. Of course, so we see the co-creating term, which is this very Gnostic, new thought, new age term we hear people like Barbara Marx Hubbard talk about all the time. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they're using that word, because I do think it's shared ideology and belief system. So then we have an example of Estonia's e-residency. Estonia Digital Citizenship Program uses blockchain for secure e-services, and in 2024 piloted a tokenized economy. I just wanted to show you examples because I wanted to know this is already happening, and that's why I'm talking about it, because I want to push back against it so we can still have physical domain and national sovereignty, and then hopefully individual sovereignty, because I think that's really what's at stake in jeopardy. So Estonia citizenship program uses blockchain for e-services, and they piloted this economy where e-residents earn credits via biometric ID for tax compliance, blending communitarianism with network state ideas. It was a hybrid, which is, I think, really what we're seeing, and I think that that's what they're trying to push here in the United States. So let's take a look at this site. Is Estonia. We have built a digital society, and we can show you how. And you can experience East Estonian digitalization, gain insights to build an e-state, connect with Estonian companies behind their e-solution. And they say the role model for government should be Estonia, a country where almost every bureaucratic task can be done online. This is from the New York Times. So all of the major, media outlets are championing this. Estonia is the world's most digitally advanced society. That's by Wired. Estonia has given an entirely different outlook on what a truly human-centric society entails for digital citizens. So really listen to what that says. I might repeat it. Estonia has given an entirely different outlook on what a truly human-centric society entails for digital citizens. So they say this all the time, it's human-centric. And we heard this with the Fifth Industrial Revolution's human-centered. Human-centered for digital citizens. So where is the emphasis? The emphasis is on the digital citizen. We are the input of the digital citizens. Of course, somebody has to program all of this. We're still not in a post-human world. I don't know that we ever will be, but there are people who seem to think that that's possible. But for right now, there are people who program it, but it's still also that they're extracting from us, right? So it's, and we're interacting with them. They need us. I'm trying to see if I can find the other thing. They had this whole, let me go to the top, the menu, because I did not bring that link up. Okay, so if you go to their menu, they have Estonia's story, e-state building blocks, and they talk about cybersecurity, education and research, e-governance, so here we are, e-governance, e-health, e-identity, so not your physical identities, your e-identity, the ease of doing business, X-road interoperability services. The X seems to be symbolic everywhere. Smart city and mobility. And you can peruse that for yourself. I won't go through all of that as we have a lot more to cover. All right, so this is what are plans and technology. So biometrics, fingerprints or iris scan, right? There was the World Coin. I'll get to that in just a second, but this is I think they call it IDEMIA tech. And this verifies your identity and then links the tokens to specific individuals. And World Coin, which by already 2025, they've scanned 5 million irises for its token system. And this is all under the guise that they need to verify that you're human. So they're collecting all your biometric data, and who knows where that leads. But this is it's called world.org if you want to look it up. They call it the real human network. Don't you love how they make all this very like AI dehumanized stuff? They keep saying that it's human over and over. I think the lady does protest too much. Identify, finance, and community for every human. The World ID, the World app. So now we're talking about the World app, but isn't that what Elon said? He wants to make it the everything app, like WeChat, only better. So now we're not just talking about for China or for Twitter users, we're talking about World app, and it provides simple and easy access to the world. World Chain, which is a blockchain designed for real humans, so make sure that every human is on the blockchain, I guess. And the World ID says an anonymous proof of human for the age of AI. which sounds like an oxymoron to me. Again, I don't know how you're anonymous when it's all tracked and surveilled, but that's what they claim. So then we've got social credit, China's social credit system. I'm sure most of you are very familiar. Yes, people do fall for these warm, fuzzy linguistics. It's very, very frustrating to me. I keep explaining that we have like, words, and they have a glossary with their definitions, and then we have what we think we've been using for, history, and they have very different definitions than we do typically, because they redefine things. But yeah, so China's social credit system, they score the citizens based on their behavior, influencing loan access. And then this is what I'm trying to impress upon people, is that I know people are concerned, especially in the West, with that kind of top-down centralized governance authority, especially through some sort of a technological infrastructure. But this could happen through a network state. This could happen through government corps, right? That's kind of like, that's what the technate really is. It's these public-private partnerships with using technology to govern. And people like Elon and Thiel are fans of this. So this is pretty concerning. But it would model this. It would model these like social credit type of feedback loops and governance. And they would do it they would reward people with tokens, and they would, penalize them by taking away their tokens. So and then I wanted to play, there is something called BitNation, and it's actually, I think it might be about a decade old, but this is the world's first virtual nation. And Bitcoin is what it's predicated on. It's a nation-state government that have failed to keep up with the technologies are transforming our lives. The internet has radically interconnected our world and blockchain technology, a cryptographically secure public ledger that is distributed amongst all of its users. It allows us to choose and govern ourselves the way we want to live for now. Peer-to-peer, the big buzzword for them, including secure ID, but of course it's a digital ID. BitNation offers the same services as those provided by traditional governments, including secure ID, reputation systems, dispute resolution, security, and insurance, but it is in a geographically unbound way. And then it says that an individual from around the world can become a citizen of BitNation by signing on to their constitution. And crypto equity can be bought on cryptocurrency exchanges or earned by contributing work. With BitNation uses an ID system based on reputation. So this is, like a social credit system of sorts. And yeah, so based on cryptocurrency exchanges or earned by contributing with work, and it's an ID system based on reputation that serves as a deterrent. An individual needs reputation for all business deals. Those who do not have a reputation have various limitations within BitNation. And let's see, where we've got disruptingpolitics.com. And that is taking a minute to load. Yeah, BitNation Governance 2.0 is what they call it. I'm not getting this one to load, so I will go to the other one first. I don't know why it's not loading. They're the Index Project. Indexproject.org. This is BitNation Governance 2.0. This won an award in 2017. For peace, justice, and strong institutions, blockchain government globalization, and this is out of Sweden. So this is from where I was just reading that paragraph to you. This is from the indexproject.org. You can find that. And then there's bitnation.com. And this is where it says, lead your own nation, a minimalist nation sim that puts you at the head of your own nation. I can just see how many megalomaniacs are going to be chomping at the bit here. Form your own government, grow your own nation's wealth, and expand your borders. Go to war with other nations or work alongside them in alliance and trade. I can't see anything that might go wrong here. Uh, I am kidding. Let's see if I can get this disrupting politics to load. If not, then we'll play a video. Oh, I did. Okay. So this is disruptingpolitics.com. And this I just wanted to point out because this is what I'm seeing so much of. There is this, what they call, Game B calls it transpolitical. It's transpolitical movement. And there's so many of them, right? There's the United Independent Party. This is Christopher Life's organization. There is the People's Party. I am blanking. There's so many of them. There's the One Nation, and this idea of transcending politics and going beyond the two-party. And it's, of course, the narrative is that they're transcending the two-party, but it is, of course, about synthesizing. That's in Hegelian sense. Yeah, transpolitical movement is what it is. And this very much falls into that, right? They call it disrupting politics. It's a type of decentralized, borderless, voluntary nations. Government services, and I think they use the term voluntary to appeal to libertarians. And this is, what we see with the neo-reactionary movement too, right? This, like Peter Thiel's Prospera is very much appealing to quote-unquote libertarian. But I would argue it's actually not really libertarian even in the true sense of libertarianism. But I would also just remind people the origins of the libertarian movement are, it's the Walter Lippmann colloquium. Walter Lippmann was not a freedom-minded type of person. This was very much a Fabian operation, right? The Austrian School of Economics was tied to London School of Economics, which was a Fabian organization. They have some pretty close ties. And then we have, out of the Walter Lippmann Society, we have the colloquium, we get the Mont Pelerin Society. And this is, of course, players like Friedrich von Hayek and Rothbard and von Mises were a part of this. And there were splits and schisms within. I would say Rothbard maintained more quote-unquote libertarian integrity out of all of them, I would argue. But they were, they're behind the Mont Pelerin Society is funded by people like the Koch Foundation. And it's a huge consortium of all these think tanks like, the Heritage Foundation, the Manhattan Institute, the American... all right, I'm blanking again. Council, the American Enterprise Council, I think it is, but of course the Atlas group as well, which is that whole consortium that has the Americans for Prosperity, which is another Koch money fund. So they tend to present themselves as very libertarian or conservative organizations and think tanks, and we've seen anything but from them. They have been very much, controlled opposition, for lack of a better word. So, yes, so this is a type of, but I think all this to say, I know that was a huge tangent, but they're using these words, it's about marketing. They're trying to appeal to libertarians. And they're using voluntary nations to imply voluntarism. When they talk about voluntary entities, when in governance and peer-to-peer, that's really what they're appealing to. So this is a marketing ploy. Government services are provided through BCTs, where laws, rules, and regulations are embedded in smart contracts, which I think we need to be a little wary of smart contracts. BitNation considers citizens and consumers of government services, which citizens pay with taxes. It proposes to provide the same service, decentralized and voluntary, without being bound to borders. Therefore, DIY, a do-it-yourself governance client built upon the open Ethereum blockchain, allows any citizen to optionalize and own virtual nation on a smart contract-powered peer-to-peer and end-to-end encrypted platform, where public services could be used based on smart contract. Their auto enforcement mechanism ensures that participants comply with predefined rules in a smart contract. You better hope you're aligned with that smart contract. That's not changing. And it will be enforced. A transaction is only enforced if compliance is ensured. But yes, that was the background. Technology evangelist. All right. So let's play, if we have the video on BitNation. That might be, it's a short video kind of outlining what BitNation is. But essentially, it's a network state. It's replacing nation states.
Before nations, before borders, there was the Pangaea supercontinent. Since then, the world has been divided by tectonic shifts, widening oceans, and stifling politics. Nation-states are crumbling under the weight of local and global challenges that they seem incapable of solving. Rather than embracing a borderless world and increasing personal freedoms, governments and multilateral organizations have overseen a surge in bureaucracy, protectionism, and ever greater intrusions into our personal lives. To prevent a drift towards tyranny, we need drastic change. Pangaea is BitNation's decentralized jurisdiction platform. Using Pangaea, you can build voluntary nations, agree contracts, and resolve disputes with other citizens, and access the services you need. This is our vision of jurisdiction as a service, a global market for governance services. The Pangaea Arbitration Token, or PAT, is an Ethereum-based in-app token that powers the Pangaea platform. When you create a contract, complete a contract, or resolve a dispute on Pangaea, you receive non-tradable reputation tokens through Lucy, our AI bot. Accumulating reputation tokens earns you tradable PAT tokens. This ensures that you can't buy a good reputation or acquire it through popularity, but if you earn one, you will be rewarded. Imagine a world where people can freely choose which voluntary nations and jurisdictions they want to be part of. A world where voluntary nations offer a choice of services under their own laws and policies and compete for citizens in a free market that rewards good governance. You too can be part of the future of governance by joining the Pangaea token sale. Welcome to the Internet of Sovereignty. Welcome to Pangaea.
Okay, so that's a little overview on BitNation, the very first virtual nation. Okay, great, thank you. I wasn't sure if we were having sound issues, but sounds like we're good. Yeah, so I am very concerned about this because that is the end of national sovereignty if we have virtual nations. So this is the network state in action. And this was a while ago. I think it was 2013. Don't quote me on the year. Well, I'll have to go look that up. But okay, so then there is something called the Helium Network, and they incentivize the Internet of Things network coverage tracked via biometric verified accounts. And by 2025, it paid 20 million users as a model for communitarian finance. So you can find this on helium.com. So this is everything connected. The Helium Internet of Things Network, the world's largest contiguous wireless network connecting hundreds of thousands of sensors, devices, and machines. So this is so incredibly creepy to me. Of course, they make it sound all very wonderful. Their ecosystem is coming soon. Hundreds of companies and thousands of developers are already building the People's Network on the largest, what do they call it? A low-Ra band, which is it's low-Ra band, which is wireless communication technology. It's physical proprietary radio communication technique. It's based on a spread spectrum modulation technique derived from chirp spread spectrum technology. It was developed by